A very good evening. You're watching the live report. I'm Aviral Virk. For the very first time, Times Now has accessed the full details of the 2G scam probe report submitted to the Joint Parliamentary Committee. This CBI report questions Anil Ambani's firm ADAG's link with Swan Telecom. It also claims that the SR Group violated the Department of Telecom guidelines but gives a clean chit to the Tata Group and also a clean chit to corporate lobbyist Tatas and Radias. Srinjoy Chaudhary joins us from the capital. He's got details of that CBI copy. Srinjoy?
Yes, Aviral, it's not just the details. This is the report. This is the presentation that was placed before the JPC, which is a 30-member group of parliamentarians of the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha headed by PC Chako. This was handed over to the JPC by AP Singh, the director of the CBI, yesterday. And this, of course, is now with Times Now. There are really 3 or 4 important points, as you were rightly saying. One, of course, relates to the Anil Ambani group. And it says that its group clearly also was in the wrong, as was the Radias. And it says, perhaps controversially, that the Tatas are clean and have been given a clean chit. And Tatas and Radias, of course, apart from minor transgressions, is not really responsible for major misconduct. These are the 4 major points that emanate from this. The first, of course, relates to Swan Telecom. And it says that yes, Swan Telecom was paid for and was promoted, really in a sense, by the Reliance Telecom, which belongs to Anil Ambani. The second point relates to Loop Telecom, which the CBI says was a front for this, for the Radias, for SR. And it says that 33% of Loop Telecom was owned by the Radias. Thirdly, it says, yes, the Tata have a deal. This was about acquiring 527 acres of land in Gao. Part of the deal did not go through. But the CBI says that it was only, and just because it's a one, does not mean that Unitech and Tatas is the same group. The fourth point, of course, relates to Tatas, as you said. She could not, CBI, that is, be guilty of major criminal misconduct. Yes, some administrative, but no misconduct. This is what the CBI has told me yesterday, and a copy is now.
Srinjoy, do stay with us. Let's also listen into what Rajiv, senior lawyer, had to tell us now.
In CBI has said that when there is an allegation that as a front he was installed, and in order to receive license there should be less than 10% share, but then they are making a serious mistake. Let us tell one thing through. Understand the difference between applicant and the licensee. Any person who acquire this 2G spectrum and makes an application, it is the status not at the time of application but at the time of securing license, which is relevant according to prior rules. Whether Swan is a Reliance front company is a matter of allegation which is required by the person who alleges.
Now, Srinjoy, talking about Tata, on what basis does the CBI report give it a virtual clean chit?
Well, what it says, the CBI says in this paper, the presentation, it says that yes, Unitech and the Tatas had a deal. This was to acquire 527 acres. It's right here somewhere. And it says that yes, part of the deal went through, part of it did not, and a certain amount of those 527 acres did get acquired. But it says that unlike the other 2 cases of Loop and Swan, this was a one-time deal. A one-time deal between Unitech and the Tatas, and therefore it should not be construed that the Tatas actually own Unitech or vice versa. They are saying that it's two separate firms which did one deal together and part of it went through. So this is the logic of the CBI. It's the CBI which says that yes, Unitech and Tatas did one deal, part of it went through, but they are two separate companies. So therefore, the Tatas here do get a clean chit.
But Srinjoy, it's not just the Tata Group, but also corporate lobbyist Meera Radia, who's been given a clean chit. Evidence, the CBI says, in those taped telephone stations.
Yes, absolutely. Now, right at the end of this, on page 41, is the point that Meera Radia cannot be accused of major criminal misconduct. That is the point that the CBI has made after its considerable investigations. Yes, it says that Meera Radia can be held up for, cases, maybe some admitted against her. But in terms of major criminal misconduct, there is no charge against Meera Radia. This is what the CBI has said after months of investigation, and it has made it very clear in its 47-page report to Parliament, or rather the JPC of the Parliament, 30 MPs or so of all parties, that Meera Radia cannot be accused of major criminal misconduct. In a sense, like the Tatas, Meera Radia also gets a clean chit.
Right. Also, Srinjoy, there are questions now being raised as far as the SR Group is concerned as well in that particular report. What does it say about the involvement of the SR Group in the scam?
Well, the SR Group, which is the Ruya's owned group, were looking for a front, according to this report. And the front was Loop Telecom. According to Loop Telecom, according to them, Loop Telecom is part of the SR Group. 33% of Loop Telecom is owned by the Ruyas. Therefore, it violated guidelines even asking for licenses. So if that is so, the Ruyas are guilty, Loop Telecom is guilty, and they are not entitled to the licenses. This, of course, is what the CBI says in this paper.
Right, Srinjoy, do stay on with us. We also have political editor Navika Kumar joining us from the capital. Navika, it is a report that is on one hand giving the clean chit to the Tata Group and Meera Radia, but several other pertinent questions.
That's right. In fact, it's in context of the SR Group and the ADAG Group, the links of Swan Telecom with the ADAG Group, which is the Reliance Telecom company. That's clearly brought out by the CBI report that has been presented to the JPC yesterday. Also, what is clear from the that Loop Telecom was a front, and actually it was the Ruyas and the SR Group that were behind it, something that is disallowed under the telecom policy. In fact, no group which already has licenses can have more than 10% stake in a new telecom company, and that is what was stated in the telecom policy of the time. Those rules being flouted. In fact, the SR involvement. One thing that is brought up very clearly in this presentation that was made to the Joint Committee yesterday was the senior telecom officials, including their telecom secretary, actually stood in the way of show cause notices being issued to the SR Group. Who was favoring the SR Group? That's the big question that the CBI is now investigating.
Certainly, Navika, questions being raised as far as the Department of Telecom officials is also concerned. But coming as it does, this particular details of the CBI report coming on a day that Anil Ambani himself went to meet certain ADAG officials at the Tihar jail, when his company itself is now under the scanner as far as details of the CBI report go to show.
That's right, Aviral. Anil Ambani is calling on the executives of his company who are in Tihar jail, and today, Wednesday, is the day that he's normally in the capital, and today his unusual stop was the Tihar jail. These three officials, of course, have been charged by the CBI because they were the ones taking decisions in various board meetings really as far as the ADAG Swan link grows, and that is why the CBI has charged these executives and they have been put behind bars. Clearly, Anil Ambani and the ADAG still not off the hook. The CBI still looking at the details. One crucial detail which the joint team of the CBI and the Enforcement Directorate are looking at is the link between Swan Telecom, the Reliance Group and Delphi Investments in Mauritius, and that is also part of what the CBI has presented to the Joint Parliamentary Committee yesterday. In fact, recently visited Mauritius and they are expecting to get details of Delphi Investments by the end of the month, and that could throw some more light on this crucial triangular link between Delphi Investments and Swan Telecom.
Absolutely. And Srinjoy, do stay on with us. Let's also tell you these are the latest visuals from outside the Tihar jail where Anil Ambani had gone earlier today to take permission which was granted to him to meet two of the AD officials who are in the Tihar jail for their alleged involvement in the 2G scam. Srinjoy Chaudhary, CBI report. Srinjoy, the report also talks about Neera Radia role, giving it a virtual clean sheet, but also a very pertinent point there that the information that has been collated on
Action is very clearly not guilty according to the CBI of criminal misconduct, and that is the point that of course may have surprised the people. The report says very could eventually come as a witness, but she is cleared as someone responsible for criminal misconduct. We have to see what agencies do. At least says when she is not guilty, except for perhaps administrative action that could be taken against her.
Yes, Srinjoy, do stay on with us. And Navika, now when we talk about the ADAG group, the SR group, which have now front, according to that CBI report, as far as their course of investigation is concerned, what really are the areas that the CBI will now be looking into as far as these two groups are concerned?
Well, it is very clear the culpability of these groups on how much they really invested in front companies, whether these front companies were floated knowing fully well that the telecom policy of the time really disallowed it, whether there was criminal culpability of the officials, the executives, or at a higher level, where was this plotting and planning being done? Also the question of how the money was routed. There are several kinds of questions that are being investigated. One is the criminal aspect of it. The other, of course, will be, as they say, the money laundering part of it, the rerouting of money through various maze of companies. All of that is now being really set aside by the CBI at this point, and that is what the CBI and both the Enforcement Directorate are looking very closely at.
Right, Navika, it is a question that the opposition has also raised on several occasions about more and more names that from the government tumbling out as the investigation into the 2G scam goes deeper, and those are the fears staring at the government in the face, even when we look at that CBI report.
That's right, Aviral. In fact, right now the CBI is looking at the period of 2008 onwards as far as the telecom scam or the 2G spectrum scam is concerned. But the 2G spectrum scam is based itself on a policy of much before. So the CBI is now going to be working backwards, and the top sources of the CBI do tell us that they are now next going to concentrate on the period 2004 to 2007. That was the period when Dayanidhi Maran was the telecom minister, and they are going to look at policy decisions taken at that time and whether or not they were meant to favor a few private firms. Especially the Aircel Maxis deal, which has been talked of in the public domain over the last few days. That's going to be the next area of emphasis as far as the CBI is concerned. that part of the investigation beginning now. A third charge sheet is supposed to come in. We'll have to wait and watch whether it relates to this or we'll have to wait for subsequent supplementary charge sheets. But clearly all of these areas of investigation very much open to the CBI for the moment.
Definitely, Navika and Srinjoy, thanks very much for bringing us all those details. The 2G probe certainly delving beyond A. Raja. It's time now for us to slip into a very short break here on the live report. We'll be right back with the other top stories.